lunch. We are going to head into our second round of Firestarter speakers. So Craig Kaiser will be our first one. And Craig was walking around here with his lovely business cards. So Craig started Crybaby Craig's in Faribault. So welcome, Craig.
I kind of want to take a picture of this so we can utilize that hashtag. That's right.
Should I take one with you in it and
yeah.
you in the back? Here, I'll take it. Or, yeah.
Cool.
And now let me get one with you in the background, with the whole gang in the background.
How do we do that?
Oh, there we go.
Smile.
Say cheese. Yeah. All right.
I think we're feeling left out over here. With the mic. There you go. Whatever. This is a big day for me. I'm sure the rest of you too, if you're here. Maybe some of you guys have done this before. The only research I did for today was I looked up how many days it took me to get to here. It's 13,724. Wow. That's the day of birth. But I believe that. I feel like the luckiest man in the world. I know I've earned it. But it still doesn't take away the fact that it feels surreal. A little bit about me, I feel that being myself and being vulnerable has added to the success. Because I feel like a lot of times you look or perceive and it doesn't feel attainable because you don't see yourself in them. So I've always been an open book to struggle, pain, hardships, because that ultimately, we all have had those. And those are the things that typically people don't share. Grew up homeless a lot, living in a car, dumpster diving, finding things that others deemed not useful and finding a way to turn that into money. And I didn't know my father growing up. And then from 2nd grade to 6th grade, I didn't go to school. Now, when I did meet my father, that was the first time I'd come back to like society, if you will. And I was living on a farm in Oklahoma. And then I moved to New York to go to a Catholic school. Just a little bit of a slight difference there. And I was sitting in on it, and I'll never forget when they asked, he's missing 4 years of documented education. And all my nude father had said was, he lived on a farm. So that's why I feel lucky, because in a lot of ways it doesn't make sense to me that I would have been able to 13,724 days later be standing right here. It's crazy. Well, I kept pushing. In a lot of ways, I was surrounded by people who loved me. A lot of those hardships I had blinders to because of the love. And I feel like this kind of a room, that's ultimately what we're sharing, is our love and our passion for what we're doing and how to be better with it. Now I'll segue, I guess, from emotion to like business. I had kept getting into trouble. And then the last time I found myself locked up, I didn't bail myself out because I felt like maybe I needed a little more time to think. And when I came out, 6 days later, I was enrolled in culinary school. That kind of laid the foundation of where I'm at today. And no one believed in it. But I needed that structure. 7 a.m., not a second later, the door would shut, the door would lock. And if you found yourself on the other side of that window, it'd be like, sorry, see you later. And I needed that. And it taught me a lot about that. And without having a father, I had 2 World War II grandfathers to play dad. And that taught me a lot as well. Mowing the grass twice, sweeping the driveway, get off the couch. Those kind of things put me in a better spot. It took me until I was about 27 years old to realize everything Grandpa had said to me was to put me in a position to do better for yourself, because it will show. And I started dancing circles around peers, even in a career where I'd only been in there for like a year or two, and a lot of them started at 15 and worked their way up to running several multi-million-dollar restaurants and having success. A lot of this and a lot that we share is grit, and whether you want to admit it or not, there is self-worth that you give yourself even in your weakest moment. No one's going to believe in you more than you. I was definitely surrounded by that. I make a hot sauce. It's kind of comical. Usually I'm laughed out of the room. Exactly. And I still to this day am one of them, because I can't believe that this was the thing that gave me the platform to speak to you guys. Persistence. Wife doesn't believe in you. And I'm not knocking anyone. I just want you to know that. Mom, dad, grandparents, friends. You will find yourself feeling alone, that was talked about earlier. And man, is that true. But if you truly believe that you have something to share, that's the difference between the 2% who are running companies and the 98% who are helping them make a reality. Is showing up. No one believing in you, and you still don't care. That's the part where I know that I've earned it. I still feel lucky. I earned it because I kept getting up. I was asked to do a hot sauce summit. I don't even know what that is, but I said yes. And I never would have imagined that people would have asked me, we want to get to where you're at. How do you do it? Well, I'm sorry, you got a lot of work to do, is what the answer is. But it's just understanding that it's okay that people don't see it the way that you do, and knowing that they never will. Being in this room feels extremely surreal. I've never felt more out of place than right now. But I've never also felt like I've never been in a room with more similar people. Isn't that kind of weird? Should I be here? I don't know. I wore orange. You see me. But I've always felt that way. I got an email, and I'm sure all of you get these emails where it's like, oh, that's a scam. And I was told that I got invited to be a part of Top 100 Entrepreneurs of Minnesota. And the man of the year is it Brian Cornell, the CEO of Target? Yeah, I got to go to that party. and I'm like, I got a special badge, and I'm like, this is gonna be stuffy, and I don't feel welcomed long before I even showed up. So what did I do? I wore a velour jumpsuit. I made these lanyard full-size bottles that we sold at the State Fair, and I showed up with hot sauce just like I did today, and I made the room less stuffy, I try to make it more of the common man and woman. And I feel like maybe that's my gift. The hot sauce is just a tool to maybe help put me in a room full of people to normalize some of these feelings. It's not the product. Luckily, the product doesn't suck. But it's a tool. It's a tool to get in there and find a common ground and to help others. I was sharing with our table that I promised myself that if I ever had a platform to stand on and speak from, that I would just be an open book. And people don't understand that. They see things as competition. And in 8 billion people on this planet, if you see competition, you probably already failed. Seriously, there is such a market there for all of us. It's just you have to make it happen. And so I've continued to share with people, and the fact that people actually want to ask me, it's better than the salary that took me a while to finally get. I don't know. I'm just trying to take this in. It's a beautiful day today. And when you guys had asked, find some questions that the so far speakers have had, any questions. And when we turn to each other, I'm like, I don't have any questions. What I'm finding out is that I'm finding more similarities than I ever saw before. I don't have a single question. I feel that I'm actually supposed to be here. That was the best part about today. I'm in a room of doers and makers and dreamers, and that is pretty special. And I don't know. I just feel like I want to answer questions. Really, I could talk and talk and talk and talk. But is any of this kind of resonating with anybody? Doesn't it feel like we have so much more in common than we ever thought we really did? Man, that's the best part. So I don't know. I guess I'll just end there. Thank you guys for sharing your time with me. I will continue to always feel like, wow, how did I make it into that room? But just know that it makes my world, and I truly am blessed to be here sharing it with you. So thank you for that.
That is so awesome, Craig. Thank you so much for sharing. And we are going to have questions. We've got 2 more entrepreneurs to hear from. Up next will be Bob Schmaltz of Bluff Technologies from Red Wing. And then we'll have Leticia Flores out of Rochester from LMS Boutique. And then we are going to have a question and answer with all 3 of our Entrepreneur Firestarter speakers. So get your questions ready for then. So right now though, Bob, come on up.
Craig, because of you, I had to use my notes. Great job. well done. Thank you to Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, and a special thank you to Diane Lewis for the many years of support you've given me and my ventures. And I also want to thank Pam Bischoff for allowing me to speak with you today. My name is Bob Schmaltz. I'm the founder and CEO of Bluff Technologies. We're located in Red Wing in the historic St. James Hotel. If you haven't been there, please come. You're welcome. Come on in the office and say hi. We'd love to see you. I'm also the president of FMS Insurance Advisors, an insurance wholesaler offering healthcare, Medicare, and retirement services in 22 states, and services a wide range of different insurance companies we represent. It's a lot to juggle as an entrepreneur, so my first advice is this. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's a lot easier if it's your only focus. without having to manage another job on the side. Someone had mentioned earlier about, I don't remember the term, but sidekick or whatever, doing it as a, and I appreciate that so much because I've been doing that and I can attest to that. It started out that way for me, but when I had to cut back due to lack of funding, I started we didn't have quite a breakthrough in our technology. I started the insurance company to help fund the software company. Not an ideal arrangement, but one that was necessary to keep my dream alive. I started back in 2006 with Smith funding my initial venture, which was a CRM for the insurance industry. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management Technology. We also had an aggregator for the insurance industry that was back when the Affordable Care Act started. My idea back then was simple: a CRM that would not only store and manage client data, but also aggregate health plans, manage client data, and information across insurance companies so an agent could quickly access company plans and find a solution for their client. Pretty basic, right? Well, today, after a series of evolutionary times and transitions in the insurance industry, as we know, healthcare is ever changing. Our technology, Smart Agent, which is now a SaaS, that stands for Software as a Service, it's much more than that. It's evolved to a digital transfer service that's going to significantly disrupt the insurance industry. We finally, and I repeat, finally have reached a point where our product and marketplace dynamics are coming together to create a perfect environment to disrupt the industry. So how do we get from such a basic idea where we are today? Throughout the technology evolution over the last 20 years, I know somebody mentioned Google 23. Well, I can attest, 20 years ago started. We've kept our focus on solving some of the key pain points faced by insurance agents, insurance companies in our country. To give you a little background, for the past how many years, all of us can probably relate to this, when someone needed to get healthcare, Medicare, they meet with an agent, right? We all have met with an agent or a group plan individual. Agents answer certain questions, determine health plans and medications appropriate for you. Then they would manually fill out a piece of paper. Yes, today some are done through portals, but the agent reviews them with the client to make a choice. The agent then either fills out that form or goes to an online portal, which we all can do, through insurance companies, and inputs that data into the portal of the insurance company to purchase the plan. Here's what you don't know, and maybe you do, but those agents, and there's a good portion of them across our country, that are still doing manual paperwork. They fill out those applications, they send them through fax or upload to the carriers. The carriers therefore have to outsource or in-source, re-enter that data into their system. And sometimes it goes to another company and back to them. Let me repeat that. They're re-entering the data that someone has already done. All that information your insurance agent fills out while you were sitting there in front of you, all those papers are manually, again, I want to repeat this, re-entered through an insurance carrier. Let that sink in because of this: the time, the redundancy, the opportunity for error, the expense, and the frustration. As you can see, this is laborious process for the customer, for the agent, and insurance company. All of it's been exuberated some years because of plan changes. What happened in 2018, there was 400,000 members, and some of you may have been affected by that, in our state alone, with their plan sunset. This created such a significant disruption in the marketplace that out-of-state companies and agents came into our state and were enrolling members of agents that had worked many, many years to produce their businesses. Well, suddenly they were faced with the prospect of not having time to find replacements for their clientele that they built up over many years. Knowing that this wasn't possible to serve all their customers and get their plans changed, some independent agents sold their business in order to avoid losing it. We've been talking about entrepreneurship today. The process is too laborious. Our product eliminates this problem. It takes an industry still working with paper, copies, stamps, and it pre-fills the forms. Auto-fills the client data, Clients can electronically e-sign and electronic transfers of forms to the carrier. By disrupting this industry, by digitizing all the paperwork, the three stakeholders will have a significant positive improvement in their experience. Number one, the agent. The very nature of the independent agent will be changed. They will now be able to conduct client meetings in person, over the phone, or virtually. Forms will be auto-filled with client information rather than manual entry. A process that used to take 45 minutes to an hour is now done in 10 minutes. They'll now have the time to focus on growing their business rather than just treading water. Second, the insurance companies. They will experience a significant reduction in errors, expenses related to data entry. The price tag assumed for data entry and processing errors, by the way, is estimated to exceed $12 billion. That's a pretty big problem to solve, isn't it, folks? Number three, the customer. Customers will find that getting insurance and working with their agent just got a whole lot easier and more efficient. We're just at the start of the breakthrough. It's an exciting time for us. Digitizing the industry, it almost seems quaint now, doesn't it? Isn't everyone digitized? No. Lots of industries still out there not keeping up with the change in technology. When I look back at our product evolution, I'm amazed at how many initial nuggets of idea have transformed itself while still focusing on the key client pain points. You know, it's said that a market leader will never be the one to revolutionize an industry because they'll be so focused on trying to defend the status quo, they will defend it until they go out of business. Well, as an entrepreneur, one of the keys to our product evolution was being completely open to changing or evolving our idea in response to rapidly changing digital world that's taking place. We were willing to adapt our idea from a basic CRM offering to the birth of a SaaS model to merging of the cloud and digital called APIs. Some of you heard that? New technology called Application Programming Interface. My idea evolved along with these market changes and the opportunity for our product to make a difference in the lives of agents, clients, and insurance carriers has grown exponentially as a result. In closing, I've stuck with an idea for a long time, like a lot of us. I've had many people tell me to quit, but I believed in pain points that were big enough, they deserved to be solved. Just because I was taking longer to solve it than I wanted, it didn't mean the problem wasn't real. And it didn't mean that I didn't have the idea to solve it. I knew that I could make a significant difference in the experience of the insurance agent and the carrier. I just needed the right people, the right confluence of technology advancements, and the industry dynamics and the fortitude to make it happen. Thank you.
So one of the tables back here, when we were doing our reflection and takeaways from today, mentioned the passion of an entrepreneur, and we just have heard from two very passionate entrepreneurs. So thank you both for sharing with us today. Our next speaker is Leticia Flores of LMS Boutique in Rochester. So come on up.
Hi everyone. My name is Leticia. I am the owner of LMS Boutique. I started a year ago. I didn't even have plans of starting a business. I love the clothes and I wanted to keep my culture alive and have it alive for my kids. I have 3 kids and being in Rochester, there's not a lot of culture. So I wanted them to keep it alive. So one way was by dressing how we dress in Mexico. So I used to drive to the cities every weekend or so, get some clothes, get accessories and things like that. And the lady's like, why don't you start selling? And I was like, because I don't know how. Haven't even think about it. And she told me, well, take 30 dresses. I'm like, I cannot afford 30 dresses. I have no income for that. She's like, no, take it. Don't worry, take it. If you sell it, we'll talk. I'll show you everything you need for your business. And I was like, what's the trick here? No one's really that nice, right? Especially someone that's strange. I'm driving almost an hour, 2 hours to get to her store. I've purchased some things, but not a big bulk of things. So I'm like, okay. And we talked about religion and faith and all of that. And that's what she said. She's like, take it, don't worry. I trust you. I know where you live. I send you things. I was like, okay. And my husband like, are you kidding me? He's like, you already do a lot of things in the community, so that's one of the other things that I do. I am very passionate about helping my community in Rochester, making that bridge of the Latino community with the community of Rochester. He's like, you're really busy. You have a job, you have 3 kids, and you have this. I'm like, I'm just gonna try. It doesn't hurt to try, right? And I'm not paying anything. Like she said, to work it out, and then we'll work it out together. So I did. I took it. I got the rack. There was a store selling out, so she's like, go upstairs. They're $20. Get a rack and make it your own. I'm like, okay. I did it. I went home. I posted it on Facebook. My friend actually came like a month later and said, you know what? I told everybody you were lying. I was like, what? They're like, yeah. You said that you had dresses, and I thought you only had like 1 or 2. She's like, but I can see that you are really running a business. I'm like, yeah, I want to try something new. But yeah, so that's how I started with 30 dresses. Now we have maybe 10 racks full of clothes and everything, you know. My kids didn't believe in it. My husband didn't believe it. No one believed in it. I was just gonna go for it. And I told him, I love helping people dress. And then when people came to me, they're like, but my arms don't look pretty. I'm like, oh, I got a solution. Here's a wrap. You can do it like this, you can do it like that. And I'm like, there's no problem. I'll help you. I have those issues too. So that's the other cool thing about me as selling. Is not I'm not selling just the clothes. I'm selling how to dress it. And also talking to them and having those fears go away. Because I'm like, I have the same fears. I'm like, but I figured out how to use it. So then that's how I do it now. I tell them you can dress it up, you can make it casual, you can make it elegant, you can do it however you want. And you know, when I go and do pop-ups, that has helped me also met different people, connect, networking, through using my resource about that. One of the things that also, by doing networking, I got to meet one of the editors for the Rochester Woman magazine. So we got to be on that magazine as well, on the fashion, just because I knew that person. And she believed in my clothing. And she thought it was really cool that I was doing it with my daughter. So our name is LMS, and that's done by Leticia, Misael, which is my husband, because he's like, I want to be part of it. I'm like, you don't help. He's like, I carry the clothes in the racks. I'm like, fine, we'll add you in there. And then Shayla, that's my daughter's name. So I wanted to show her that also I want her to be an independent woman. So I'm like, if you know something doesn't work out in the end in schooling, you can have something that you learn how to do. So that's the other thing that's why we started. And it's just been going so good that it's like, okay, now that I have this going on and doing events, I got customers now that they're following us to different pop-ups. And they're like, so when are you gonna start your store? I'm like, one of these days, when Rochester comes down on the rates. Because that's the other thing. I don't want my clothing to be so high where my people cannot purchase it, because it's not gonna be in their budget. And that's the other thing that I wanna make sure that everybody is able to buy the clothing that I'm bringing. So not only just helping my community, but I'm also helping, because I work really close with the artisan ladies in Mexico. I want to make sure that I don't have a middle person that is taking most of the money. So that's the other thing that I also do. Make sure that those families are also well paid, because it's like we work here, they work too, and they don't have all the resources that we have down here. So sharing the colors, that's the other thing. It's very colorful. It's nice. Somebody you can add a sweater. If it's too much color for you, just add a little sweater. It takes it away. No, there's no excuse to not purchasing my clothing or my jewelry. I'm like, I got you. But yeah, that's how I started, by having one person believe in me. And she's the one that gave me the strength, and she's the one that gave me all the tools. And I still talk to her, I still go back to her when I'm stuck on something. Because the other thing that I also figure out in Rochester, in Rochester, is that it's hard when you're Latina and you're trying to find something because there's not that resource. So it's very limited. So it's like, okay, the thing that I have as a benefit is that I'm able to speak both languages very well. Otherwise, I'm like, I wonder how other people do it and why they are stuck in that small business because they have that other barrier that they have to jump. So that's the other thing, and it's like I'm always thinking, okay, how do I connect people? When they ask me or they tell me, like, ooh, this person needs you, I'll help you. And my husband's like, you need to stop helping because you need to sleep or something. But yeah, we were able, and then with Smith, that was the cool thing about them, that they connected me with my mentor that spoke fully Spanish and English. So he was also able to help me see it the way that we think, the way that we can understand, for us to make it work best for what I needed. So that was one of the cool things that Smith did for me as well. Not only to help me connect with the web designer and the logo and everything else, but also having that person, because even though I'm fluent, I still need that. I feel more comfortable and more confident if it's in my own language, because I'm like, okay, they understand my struggles, they understand where I'm coming from. So that's kind of the nice thing about it, that I got to learn, I got to gain, and then I got all those resources as well. So that's me. And also the other thing that I wanted to keep alive is the culture in our kids. As a youth worker, I worked for kids for 20 years or so, and that was one of the things that I've noticed. Kids are ashamed of where they're coming from, and they don't speak the language. So if I could bring it out and show them that it's cool to be proud of who they are, where they're coming from, just by wearing an earring. I'm like, you don't even have to go full dress. You can have like a jewelry and have a piece, and just be proud of where you're coming from, where your parents came from, the sacrifice that they made. So that's the other cool thing about why I started. So I wanted to put that root in my kids and then in their friends, because that's how you get into the youth, by having it. Thank you guys.